Hi everyone, and welcome to a short attention span webinar. This is webinar number 1 on first impressions. We will talk today about 4 first impressions. On the phone with me today is Kelly Malazzi. Hello, Kelly.
Hello, Bill.
Today we're going to talk about the first step in the prospecting process. Kelly, why is this an important issue?
You know, Bill, there's an old adage that says you never get a second chance to make a first impression. It's just the very first time any prospect is going to hear about you, hear from you, so we want to make sure that we are putting our best foot forward.
Absolutely. And, you know, we'll talk today about 4 impressions, 4 options of making that first impression. One is an intro letter, one is a phone call, one is an email, and one is a stop by or visit. There might be some other things that we throw in there as well, but the idea is to put it out there, to discuss it quickly, and to offer some decisions, some options, thumbs up, thumbs down. At the end of this, Kelly and I will both give our opinions as to which one we think is the best first impression to make. So, as Kelly said, this matters for a lot of reasons. This is a chance for you to differentiate yourself. This is a chance for you to prove your professionalism, and that's why it's so important to figure out exactly what's right for you. We're often accused of being just like everybody else, very homogeneous industry, this print industry. And this is the choice that you make will have an impact on your brand and, of course, the outcome as well. So, Kelly, talk to us about the intro letter, choice A.
Choice A is getting out your pen and pencil and actually your computer and writing a letter. So it is an old school way to do it. People used to write letters many, many hundreds of years ago. It's a great way to be professional. It's actually demonstrating our commitment to ink on paper by putting ink on paper with a piece of letterhead and our words. It absolutely positively gives you something that you can refer to when you make that all-important follow-up phone call, because in the letter you will have said, I'll be calling you. And when you call, you can say, I promised you I'd call you today. So it gives you that opportunity to keep your word. You may choose to put a testimonial in there, something like, I work with some of the leading brands in the country, and here's why they use us, or even something specific from a particular customer who said something fantastic about you. But Bill and I both feel very, very strongly that you should not send samples in your intro letter.
Reason being that you are judged on the basis of those samples, and you want to make certain that you are controlling what that opinion is going to be. The downside of this is it's time-consuming. It takes a long time to send out a letter. It's not free, but it's not inexpensive either. And believe me, with names like Malazzi and Farquharson, we are very attuned to people that get it right and people that get it wrong, and it makes a difference. Plus the fact that the U.S. Post Office now is just so slow, it's difficult to know when that letter is going to hit, and your phone call might actually beat the letter. Just talking quickly about the components of an effective letter, it should definitely be one page. Keep it one page. Sign it in blue ink. I had a professor at the University of Alabama, and he taught me that you sign everything in blue ink. So you can call that the John Bickley rule. Put it in a number 10 envelope. Make certain that you are putting a stamp on it whenever possible, because the meter is going to make it look a little more business-like, but still more staunchy. Put a stamp on it. Not a lot of stuff is going to come with stamps on it these days. 3 parts to an effective letter. Say what you're going to say it, and then say what you said. Include that action statement, and that is the next thing that will happen is ... And then always have a P.S. Why do you always have a P.S., Kelly?
People's eyes are automatically drawn to the bottom of a page, so if they don't do anything else, they will read what you say in your P.S.
Choice B is a phone call. Phone calls are easy. They're immediate. They're cost-effective. They're time-efficient. There's a lot of positives to the phone call. Voicemail is something we will cover in a future short attention span webinar. But while it's a hurdle, voicemail gives you a chance to demonstrate your diligence, your professionalism. It's an audition. This, I think, and Kelly, would you say this is probably what most people do as a first impression? It
certainly seems so. That's what most of my customers have been telling me lately, yeah.
What's the downside then, Kelly?
Well, everybody's doing it, right? So if all your competitors and everybody else who's selling is just picking up the phone and dialing for dollars, then there's a chance that your message is going to get lost in that shuffle of everybody calling and saying, I'm great, here's why. So it's a very, very important opportunity to be a differentiator and say something, something of distinctiveness when you do make that call. And your tone is absolutely, absolutely, positively important here. If you're boring, if you're in a bad mood, if you're down here, it's going to be harder for somebody to respond to you. So it's very important that your tone is upbeat and that you're enthusiastic when you're making these calls.
Sounds so simple, but makes a big difference. Choice C then is email. Now, this definitely is a favorite of a certain generation. Not my generation, but a certain positive for a lot of people that are 20s, 30s, things like that. They love the immediacy of it, the cost effectiveness of it. This is how they want to communicate. Is this the best first impression? Well, we'll talk about that a little more. I'll give you my opinion and Kelly's opinion, and hear Kelly's opinion. But there's definitely a chance to demonstrate your professionalism in this. That's the upside of this, is that if you write a very good email, it will reflect positively on you. Plus, it's a one-way conversation. It's me talking to you, and then you replying to me, and then me replying to that. It's not a dialogue. It's non-confrontational. Downside, Kelly?
Well, it's definitely impersonal, and it could feel very much like spam. You might assume, well, they must be sending 10,000 of these out, and what's special about me? Why did they pick me? The other thing I would say about email is that your subject line is critical to whether you get your email gets opened or not. So you have to put some real thought into what your subject line would say in order to get people to open your emails.
In fact, if you Google validate subject line, you will find that there are websites. You can put your subject line into this website, hit go, and it will tell you what's right and what's wrong with your subject line. Did you ever try that, Kelly? You know that?
I have not. I never heard that before. That's interesting.
I hadn't either, actually. I heard it from somebody this spring, and I've been trying it. It's been very interesting. Choice D is a good old stop by, a good old visit. And this is as personal as it gets, but it's very difficult. It's very expensive, especially when gas is as expensive as it is. But there's that old-fashioned effort. Every once in a while, it's going to work for you. I think, in my view, the best time to do this, almost the only time that you want to do this, is when you're in the area anyway. Maybe you've had an appointment. Maybe you've had a second appointment. Maybe you've got another one coming up in a couple of hours. You've got some time to kill. Get out there. Get on the streets. Downside, Kelly?
Well, as you mentioned, it is expensive, and it could be efficient, and there's a lot of people that, have signs right on their door saying, don't even bother coming in here, and people might be put off by it, and security forces might make it very, very difficult to get in the door. However, I think there's something about, on the upside of that, it gives you the opportunity to assess the office and take a look around and say, how big is this office? How busy is it? What's going on around here? And make that connection to that gatekeeper, that secretary, that receptionist sitting up front, and establish a relationship with them that you could then use later on to your advantage. So it's, good side, bad side, definitely.
Again, the first impression is critical. You are one of many that are banging on this door. You are going to be sending a letter, or you're going to be doing an email, or a stop by, or a phone call. It matters. You're being judged from the moment you start, and most of that impression that they get will last. They will not forget their first impression of who you are. Malcolm Gladwell wrote a book about it called Blink, where he talks about educated first impressions and thin slicing. This is a big deal, and you should definitely put some thought to this. In fact, try some different things. See what works for you. Now, Kelly, if you could only have one of the four, what would you say your number one is, and why?
Ooh, well, that's a really tough question, because, of course, we want to ultimately in our prospecting plan use all four. But for me, the first is always going to be a letter, because it's that opportunity to indicate your creativity and that you're a good writer, and although that's not an absolute must-have, but you should be able to represent yourself well, and then hand-addressed envelopes, and being able to follow up on that promise. In my letter, I promised you I would call you on Tuesday, and here I am keeping my promise and calling you on Tuesday. So yeah, without a doubt, I love the stop by. I actually love all of these steps, and I think they're all important, but the letter's got to be number one.
And I think the letter is my number one as well. I have seen some very effective approaches on using email, and not just sending something out, but one sales rep actually sent me an email, and 3 days later forwarded me the exact same email, and it caught my attention. And I called this guy up. His name was Matthew Hazlett, and I called him up. He works for Cisco out in California, and he said he gets a 10% appointment rate using that method. Very interesting. And it did catch my eye to the point where I picked up the phone and I called him. So no right answer, no wrong answer. I think that it's a good start for you. Kelly, thanks. And everyone, there's our first short attention span webinar. We hope you enjoyed it. Hope you check out some more. Thanks, Kelly.
Thank you.